Then last night, I don't even know where to begin with last night. I mean, really, when you just talk about the Chiefs-Bills game, that was such a special game between special quarterbacks. And, Mike, it's like we talked about all last week. So I think it's the one thing that, hey, it's awesome that we didn't get any real upsets on super wild card weekend, because we saw the best 8 teams. It led to the best 4 games. And, man, they were nail-biters. And just it's going to be an awesome Final Four here going forward.
Unbelievable. And look, they always say, may the best team win. You can make the argument the best team lost every one of those games. That every one of those games, the better team did not prevail. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. That's why they play the games, as a wise man once said. But, even the last game, and we'll start there. We're going to spend a lot of time on every one of the games, unpacking, as they like to say, the various issues and angles. That's what we do all the time, even when the games are far less exciting. And even when the games are far less exciting, we find plenty to talk about. Today's the kind of day where we could do this for 4 hours. We could devote an hour to each game. We could devote the full show to last night's game, and what a show that they put on. And, we were saying this last week, not that this is high-level stuff, not that we discovered plutonium by accident, but we're looking for Tom Brady, Peyton Manning, and it is, without question, Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes. And we can only hope that they continue to cross paths in the postseason, hopefully every year. I'll take it every other year. I don't want to be greedy. Hopefully they'll at least play once a year, regular season or postseason, or a year like this, both. That was phenomenal. It was incredible, and they're clearly the 2 best quarterbacks in the NFL right now. All around, the things they can do, it's unquestioned. Even though it's going to be Tom Brady and Aaron Rodgers, the other guy that I'm already forgetting. Yeah, even though they're going to be the top 2 in the MVP race, Allen and Mahomes showed us last night why they're the best 2.
Yeah, they are the best 2. It's something I said a lot last week, even on other radio things. These are the 2 best. You heard me say it on the pregame show yesterday. The 2 best quarterbacks in football were playing last night. Yeah, Brady, Rodgers, they're going to get more of the votes, you're saying. And I had people like last week, well, explain that to me. How is Rodgers the MVP, but the other 2 are better? Well, okay. In one game, at their absolute best, Allen and Mahomes are the best 2 players in football, period. Now, did they play their A game the whole year consistently throughout? No. Rodgers consistently played his A game better throughout the year, so therefore, and his team played a little more consistently, therefore he wins the MVP because of that. But on his best day, right now, 2021, Brady, Rodgers, whoever else you want, nobody's in the class of these 2. That was special what we saw last night. Like, out of this world special. We really forget the matchup and everything about the football game. What we saw from the 2 quarterbacks was as good a quarterback play and like cheat code. We broke the matrix type of stuff that we've ever seen in football. It did not matter what the defenses did. Hey, offense, we can execute it when nothing was there in the offense to execute. It still looked like we executed the offense and made a bunch of unbelievable plays. It's the 2 best players in our sport. They were on fire last night, and it was really one of the best finishes and most exciting games I can ever remember because of these 2 guys who are just already on a trajectory to me to be 2 of the greatest quarterbacks in the history of all time, too. They have that type of talent.
The ability to improvise, to buy time, to extend plays, to move their bodies in relation to the players around them, to accelerate past a defensive lineman who is flailing to try to bring them down, and then throw a frozen rope on the move. It just was incredible to see it play out. And for the first time in playoff history, opposing quarterbacks threw for more than 300 passing yards, 3 touchdowns, and no interceptions. They were incredible. It was the best playoff game that I can recall in years. And look, I don't want to be a prisoner of the moment.
Yeah, right.
Super Bowls are more impactful. Super Bowl 51 Super Bowl 51 was a bigger deal.
Sure,
right?
Sure.
And Super Bowl 42 was a bigger deal with the helmet catch. I mean, because a championship
the
rides on the outcome
of
that game.
Right.
But for a divisional round game, that's the biggest one. And I keep going back to the Immaculate Reception because that was the moment I discovered the NFL was a big deal. Now, it wasn't a great game. It was just a great moment at the end of a typical 70s grinded out like we saw Saturday 13-10 type of a game. But But that moment and the way it resonated, that's what last night carries with it. What we saw and what we absorbed, and how all of our expectations continued to be defied.
That's it.
All the way down to the final 13 seconds of regulation, when anyone capable of any basic commonsensical thought would have assumed the game was over. But not with a guy like Patrick Mahomes or a guy like Josh Allen. Either one could pull it off. And you know what, Chris? Let's start the drive right there.
Yeah.
Peter King had something in Football Night, or Football Morning in America, not Football Night in America, about the kicking of the ball into the end zone.
I hear
coach
you.
texted him,
That's definitely a
"Don't
conversation,
do that.
Right?
Make them run the ball out,
right,
so they have less time, because all they needed was those 2 plays.
Seconds. Right, exactly.
You're only
right.
going to get 1 play, not 2. I don't think it would have mattered.
Yeah.
I think Mahomes still would have, with 1 play, gotten the team in field goal range. But it's a great point. Don't kick the ball into the end zone there. Force him to run it. Force him to chew up some time. Of course, the risk you're taking is the guy pops it for a touchdown.
Well, I just want to jump off there for a second. Like, you're right. It's one of those games, Mike. I don't know how you felt, where I literally got done with the game and I was like, man, I feel really bad for Josh Allen. But I also think if it was the other way around and Allen and the Bills won, I would have gone, man, I feel really bad for Patrick Mahomes. It was a rare instance where we were watching greatness, and it's like I didn't have I wasn't invested in one horse. I was just going, oh my gosh, this is unbelievable. And how many times in just the last few minutes of the game did we go, well, Buffalo scored. Ooh, I don't know. Can Kansas City go down and score? Oh, they scored. Oh, man. I don't think Buffalo can come back and score and do this again. Oh, boom, they go and score. It was just unreal what we saw. I think that's what makes the game, to your point, like one of the greatest we've ever seen. Maybe not in magnitude because it wasn't one for the Super Bowl, but there was no blunders, really. We're about to break down the blunder, but the quarterback pretty much played perfection, and I think that's where that game stands alone, where you just saw, oh, my gosh, 2 guys, the best 2 players at their sport, and they played their best games of the year against each other, and that was amazing. And now, back to the point there, Mike, yeah, it was one of the things I thought of originally watching the football game. Why not hit the pop-up, make him catch it at the 3 or 4 yard line, and take that 5 or 6 seconds off the clock? You're right. Who the hell knows what happens with Mahomes and his ability to create magic? But I think between that play right there, and then I don't have so much of a problem with the first play to Tyreek Hill, letting them get some yards, but then for them to just let Travis Kelce off the ball. I'm not sure really what what Buffalo was trying to do there. With that amount of time left on the clock, I know it wasn't a ton of time, but the Chiefs have timeouts. So you had to have some semblance of protection to the middle of the field at that point and realize that Kelce might get the ball. But yeah, here you go. There's the kickoff, Mike, right? You're, 100% right in that point. And that blew some seconds. Here, okay, I got no problem with this play. Well designed, good job. They get up there. The Buffalo's feeling this out. Now, 8 seconds, this is the one I don't understand, where what exactly are we protecting there? It looked like they were protecting deep outs and medium outs, 10, 20-yard out routes. Who cares about that? They have a timeout. They can throw the ball in the middle of the field, and then just to let Travis Kelce run free. I think those are the things you look at that were the major mistakes that Buffalo's going to be kicking themselves about.
And, one of the things that we saw pop up on Twitter, and it's funny and it's cute and it draws a line back to last weekend. Look at what the Chiefs did in 13 seconds. Look at what the Cowboys didn't do with 14 seconds. The difference is the Chiefs had all their timeouts.
Right.
And if you can find a way to keep 3 timeouts in your pocket just in case, you're going to have the ability to throw the ball to Tyreek Hill, take the timeout. And then during the timeout, that's when Travis Kelce said to Patrick Mahomes, hey, if they give me the same look that they gave me on the last play, I'm going to run down the seam. That wasn't the route he was supposed to run, but they gave him the same look. He ran down the seam, and that was that. And before we go any farther, we have to hear Andy Reid with the advice that he gave to Patrick Mahomes, because this is an all-timer. On 13 seconds left, here's what Reid told Mahomes to do.
Yeah, when it's grim, be the grim reaper and go get it. So he did that. He made everybody around him better, which he is great at, and he just does it effortlessly. When it gets tough, he's going to be there battling, and players appreciate that.
You know, I've been thinking.
We all
talking a lot.
appreciate it, Andy. We all do. I mean, it's unreal.
It's incredible to see what Patrick Mahomes is capable of doing. And now 4 straight years hosting the AFC Championship game, and they'll have their opportunity to go to 3 straight Super Bowls, which in today's NFL
is amazing.
Is amazing.
That is amazing.
Because the teams are packed together like never before. It was amazing when the Bills did it 30 years ago because they kept losing. To go all the way back down to 0-0 and climb the mountain again and get back year after year after year when you keep losing is incredible. But in today's NFL, when you look at how good the teams are and how they started, my God, we were ready to give up on them. And here's the other thing too, Chris. Here's the other thing too. You know, those games in September and October, that throwaway game in Jacksonville that you lose 9-6. You never know which is the one that's going to keep you from having a game like that at home.
Right.
And I know home field advantage isn't what it used to be, and the home teams were 1-3 this weekend. But that game last night, it's got a different vibe in Buffalo.
No doubt.
A different
No
feel
doubt.
in Buffalo, and a different advantage. A real advantage in Kansas City versus a real advantage in Buffalo. That if they're looking for things to learn once and for all, it's don't screw around in the regular season. Kick the SH-T out of everyone so you force everyone else to come to Western New York in January.
I think that'll probably be one of the lessons they learn, Mike. Agreed with you there, 100%. I mean, it's how can you not think about that? Just, hey, what's the difference in the football game if we're at home with our crowd, with some of the momentum swings of the game? Certainly you're going to think that. I mean, but it's just, it is one of those that's just unbelievable. I don't even know where to say. It's such a draw-dropping game. It was literally whoever had the ball last with both of these quarterbacks. I mean, you mentioned with Mahomes there, everything that he does just never flinches. We never saw either quarterback flinch throughout the game. And the most pressure-packed situations, it just looked like either one of them, didn't matter who had the ball, was just like, okay, here we go. I'll make it happen. No big deal. Let me scramble around and spin around 360, throw a ball, sidearm 30 yards down the football field. It was an amazing, magic show. It really was. The Matrix was broke last night with these two quarterbacks. They are on another level from the rest of the league. And Mahomes, that's what's amazing about Mahomes is really we've been seeing him act like this from the very get-go. From the second he started his first game in his second season as an NFL quarterback, there just never seems to be anything that phases him, and he's just the coolest, calmest leader I've ever seen, really, to be that young. And then again, too, this is not Manning and Brady, where it's like, hey, the protection's perfect and we're going to be surgical every play and make the exact right quarterback decision and our offense is really well thought out and coached. This is a little bit more of a backyard football flair that both of these guys have too, which really makes the game harder and puts more pressure on them at times to make incredible things happen, but they just continue to deliver, and Mahomes, amazing. But Mike, I hear you. I'm sure that's something Buffalo's going to talk about this offseason. Get this game at home, and maybe we got a better chance to go to the Super Bowl.
This may not be a fair question, but it's never stopped me from asking questions like this in the past. Who's better, Allen or Mahomes? Who's better?
Yeah, I know. In totality, Mahomes is better, right? Right? Like, he won the Super Bowl. He's won the MVP. But the last 2 years, Josh Allen has outplayed Patrick Mahomes. And I think even looking at last night, I know this. You can't sit here and tell me they're almost equal. I would probably told you going into the game last night that I would take Allen right now with the way he's played. And I don't. It's hard to argue either way right now, really. I mean, I don't know how you could definitively say Josh Allen is worse than Patrick Mahomes. That's for sure. Allen is right there in the class, in the conversation. I mean, you talk about guys, who am I going to take first pick to be my quarterback of my fantasy team or my real-life team? I mean, you can't go wrong with either guy. Who do you think? I don't know. I would take probably Allen after this year, but man, is it really close. And Mahomes does have a certain magic about him that seems like he's always on the right side of these things.
I feel like Mahomes can sustain it longer. Remember last year our concern was that toe injury had slowed him down just enough, and if he can stay healthy, I think that's the key. When you add the mobility factor to these quarterbacks, you introduce the injury possibility. When it's just a guy who's pocket passer and the offense is performing perfectly, you don't have that same possibility of getting the guy banged up. But look at how Josh Allen last night, that run, that's caution to the wind. That's something you're not going to do at Jacksonville to try to win a regular season game. That's something that you save for a moment like this because you don't want to take the risk of losing your guy for 6 weeks.
Well, it's so special, too. Like, I that's where I don't understand. Sometimes I'm not sure if everybody understands what they're watching with him. You know, 2 pulling guards. It's 3rd and 4, and we expect them to get the first down. And not only do we expect it now, we go, well, I mean, he got 15, and we just go, oh, he got 15, big deal. I mean, he's raised the level of expectations as far as what's expected at the position. There's certain things he has about his game that are better than Mahomes. Running the ball is certainly one of them. They're both the 2 best scramblers in the sport. That's for sure. But, you know, running the football as far as the quarterback design runs, that's where Josh Allen is in another level. That's where, you know, they're both special with their ability to buy time and create plays and move the ball outside the pocket. But I think, Allen's size is certainly a factor in how you got to evaluate him, too, because he does bring another dynamic to short yardage situations or red zone situations when you're down there close to the goal line. Just unbelievable players, really. They really are. And it was amazing to watch last night.
Hi, I'm Mike Tirico, and thanks for watching. Make sure to hit subscribe for the latest news and highlights from NBC Sports.